This is an ad by BetterHelp. BetterHelp recently surveyed over 16,000 people and found that while 75% of people believe it's wise to seek support, only 27% of Americans are in therapy, and people stay silent to avoid being judged. BetterHelp has over 10 years of experience matching you with the right therapist. Because we're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com/stopthestigma for their first ever State of Stigma report, the latest in mental health research.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Check it out now.
The numbers told the story, they always do. It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM channel 158. It's Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon alongside. This is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, on a glorious Monday here at Circa Resort Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Good morning to you, sir.
Oh, good weekend. Did you enjoy the weekend, Gill?
Oh, did I ever. Did I ever. By the way, there is a national championship of college football tonight. Let's say that off the top. Tim Murray will be here to discuss, as will Wes Reynolds, a little later on in the show. If you are new to this, if you're listening to Sirius XM 158 for the first time and like, hey, what's this all about? We usually do something on Mondays called guessing lines during the regular season. I am in a cocoon. I guess the lines of the upcoming weekend's NFL games. Kelley tells me what they are, and within that exercise, we try to extract some value. We don't do that in the playoffs as much, but I'll tell you what the guesses were. I don't think there's going to be much difference here, if any, heading into this week. But what we do in the process is we recap everything that happened in the past weekend. And as a lifelong Washington fan, oh, was this a weekend? Can I just start off the show with a couple tweets? I don't usually start off with tweets. But I just wanted to give a couple from this morning. +_money. Can't believe I'm about to stomach this episode of a numbers game. Bobby Geddes getting prepped for the most hyped episode of a numbers game since the mid-'90s. Let's go. You remember that episode?
Yeah, from the mid-'90s. Okay.
Remember that one? Here we go. Let's start with a chronological order. Let's go. Guessing lines. Championship round. Oh, yeah.
Last week, I guess, right? Last week of guessing lines, technically?
Yeah, I mean, we're not even really guessing.
Yeah, but I don't think we extend this to the Super Bowl, do we?
No.
I was gonna say,
Okay, now the Sun Belt Conference Championship guessing line show. No, we're not going to do that.
It's kind of funny because some of these things Gill and I have just gotten used to. We don't even really fully discuss, but I was like, yeah, that one. I actually don't remember how far we take this. All right, NFC Championship game. We've got the Commanders at the Eagles. This is 3-ish Eastern time on Sunday. I'm going to go with ish for all of these times.
Just turn up that music a little bit, guys. You know the words, Kelley.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Hold on one second. Wait for it. Fight for home, DC. Okay, now I'll stop. So here's what happens on Saturday. Washington goes into Detroit. Detroit is a big favorite in this ball game, and even those of us who love the Washington football team, I said, I was on the positive side where I was like, well, listen, I don't think they're going to get blown out. I said, I think they'll comport themselves well. I think they probably lose a close football game, maybe a one-score game, maybe by a touchdown. There's none of us who thought, and I said all year, look, they'll get to the playoffs. They win one game at most. Now, the one thing I did do is bet that money line, which Rufus and Fezzik recommended on Friday, so that worked out. Washington 45, Detroit 31, the widest margin of any of the games this weekend. Let us begin. Washington, first time with the ball after Detroit 3-and-out, 3rd and 14. Jaden to Crowder for 13.5, while we watched an AT&T commercial on half the screen. Do you remember that play? Where the broadcast was still showing
Yes.
the AT&T commercial? I'm like, what are we doing? Let's get better. 4th and 1 at the Detroit 28. In motion, Mariota goes under center. Looks like he wanted to pitch it back to Jaden, but he's wrapped up by Al-Qadim Muhammad for a 1-yard loss. Brian Robinson looked like he was trying to push Mariota, didn't know it was a pitch play. and Washington fails to convert the fourth. And as a Washington fan or a Washington backer, you're probably like, oh, so this is the game where it doesn't work out.
Right, here's the game where it all comes back.
Not so fast, my friend. Detroit, though, does take the ball then. 6 plays, 71 yards. Gibbs in from one. It's 7-0 Detroit halfway through the first quarter. You're like, okay, here we go. Gonzalez hits a 47-yard field goal to cut it to 7-3. Then Detroit, first of all, before we even get to Detroit's next possession, then Fox decides to lean into the Brady conflict of interest with Kevin Burkhardt. Did you catch this? Where they asked point blank Brady to evaluate Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn right there on the spot as a two-shot in the broadcast booth. I was like, oh, that's how Fox is taking on sort of conflict of interest.
Yeah, that sounds like how things should be done. Okay.
So here's the first thing that happens that goes wrong for Detroit. Lions matriculate. 3rd and 1 at the Washington 17. Dorrance Armstrong hits Goff, fumbles, recovered by Frankie Louvu. And the Skins dodge a bullet. Washington then goes 11 plays, 78 yards, 5 minutes. 4th and 3 at the Detroit 9 in that drive, by the way. This time back to the old 4th down, no problem. To Ertz for 7. 3 plays later, a PI in the end zone on McLaurin. 2 plays after that, Robinson in from 2, 10-7. DC Skins, 10:55 left in the second quarter. On the play, though, Sam Cosmi tears his ACL, which we later found out not good moving forward for Washington against Philly. Detroit then goes 7 plays, 70 yards. Goff to Laporta from 2 out. What an amazing one-handed diving catch. Left-handed, 14-10 Lions, 7:44 left in the second quarter. By the way, at this point in the game, the Lions had 9.0 yards per play. Is that good? But then Washington does Washington things. 3 plays, 70 yards. Jaden to the incomparable Terry McLaurin for 58. Mostly yak. 17-14 Washington with 6:23 left in the second quarter. Or, as Tom Brady described it on the telecast...
I want you to see...
we didn't get it.
I just want you to see it's a numbers game.
That's how he described it on the telecast. What he meant was Brian Branch came on the blitz. Washington ended up with 3 receivers on the left side against only 2 defenders. Bo Zacchaeus and De'Ami Brown make their blocks, and McLaurin shoots through the hole and then outruns the defenders to the house.
God bless our whole audience. This is the one game I was out for. It didn't, so I wasn't hearing Gill and just the phone buzz. I'm like, yeah, missed it.
The incomparable Terry McLaurin. 17-14 Skin, 6:23 left in the second quarter. By the way, Chrissy Andrews, my mashpucha, texts me at this point, and he says, how you feeling right now? I go, I'm hyperventilating. He goes, relax. He goes, there's a long way to go. Right as he texts me that, second play for Detroit, 2nd and 14 at their own 18. Goff airmails intended receiver Quan Martin, pick, 40 yards to the hizzy. Frankie Louvu, by the way, lights up Goff. On the return, touchdown, 24-14 Washington. I send back a text to Chrissy. I'm like, you sure it's not over yet? 5:25 second quarter, and he sends back, holy shnikes, but he didn't say shnikes. 5:25 left in the second quarter. It's 24-14 Washington, and yes, that was an illegal play by Louvu. Jared Goff, do you think he was affected by that the rest of the game? Who knows? Detroit now with Bridgewater in temporarily. They're like, well, watch what we could do. Third play, reverse to Jameson Williams, 61 yards to the house. 24-21 Washington. 4:01 left in the second quarter. Washington now thinking about a double dip, and they score, but it's too easy. 4th play, Jaden to De'Ami for 38, where his eyes are covered. He still catches it. Double dip unlikely now because they're scoring so quickly. 3 plays later, 3rd and goal, Jaden to Ertz from 5 out, touchdown, 31-21 Washington. 1:46 left in the second quarter. Goff back in. Lions matriculate. 1st and 10 at the Washington 29 before the end of the half. Goff picked in the end zone by Mike Sanderstill. Rookie. Mike Sanders still out of Michigan, and Washington goes to the locker room up 10. 312 to 309 in total yards in favor of Washington at the half, but plus 3 in turnovers, which led to 14 Washington points. You might even suggest that it was more than that because Detroit was matriculating on one of theirs. By the way, if you went under 10.5 points in the first quarter, you cashed. And then the highest scoring quarter in the history of the NFL postseason followed, 42 points. The first 600-yard first half since the first half of the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl 52.
Wow.
Second half, after a Washington punt, Detroit punts, but Dante Fowler ruled to have tugged on David Montgomery's face mask. He did not. Extends the drive, eventually pitched to Montgomery, shoveled to St. Brown for 20. 2 plays later, Gibbs in from 8, 31-28 Washington with 6:57 left in the third quarter. And at this point, if you're a Washington fan or a Washington backer, you're like, I cannot believe they're going to lose on that face mask, on that phantom face mask. Kevin Burkhardt points out, though, that now it's even, right? The Frankie Louvu hit on Goff and then the phantom face mask. So we're even on that. All right. 31-28 is the score. Washington, though, at this point, 15 plays, 70 yards, 8 minutes and 28 seconds. They always respond. And you know what they always do? 4th and 2 at the Detroit 16, Jaden for 3. Then 4 plays later, 4th and 2 at the 4. Brady shouting in the broadcast booth for the Lions to call timeout. They don't. 12 men on the field. Automatic 1st and goal at the 2. 2 plays later, Robinson in from 1. 38-28 Washington with 13:29 left. Detroit 1st and 10 their own 46. Detroit gets cued again. This time, though, they pitch it. They go to St. Brown. He pitches it to Jamison Williams. You can tell watching it live, no one's open. He still throws it. Picked by San Rastil again. And this is when you're like, oh, my God, we winning this thing. 12:04 left.
Every time you want to love one of those plays, Gill, it's always the wide receiver pass option. They're going to throw it every time.
Eat it or throw it out of bounds, man. First play, Washington, Eckler for 35 to start. Then another 4th and 2 at the Detroit 13 after Jaden threw it behind McLaurin on 3rd down. This time 11 to the incomparable Terry McLaurin. 1st and goal at the 1. McNichols in. 45-28 halfway through the 4th quarter. The Skids are up 17. Detroit huddling up down 17. Bates field goal 45-31 with 5 minutes left. And then the Lions do declare the onside kick. But Ertz recovers. 3rd and 5 at their own 45. Detroit down to 2 with timeouts. Jaden to John Bates for 20. Detroit uses their 2nd and 3rd after the next 2 plays. 3rd and 6 at the Detroit 31 with 3:13 left. 4th and 1, by the way, for Washington. They decide, okay, well, let's just go up 3 scores again. Let's give Gonzalez the 44-yard field goal. Wide left with 2:26 left. Remember, it's a 14-point game. But you know how it ends. Detroit matriculates it eventually. 3rd and 10 to Washington 17. Goff picked by Jeremy Chin. Ball game, and the Washington Commodores, may I call them that, beat the Detroit Lions, the number 1 seed, 45-31 in a game, and this was the theme of the weekend, where the losing team outgained the winning team, in this case 521 to 481. Wow. Over 1,000 yards of offense, but the Lions were -5 in turnovers, which led directly to 21, a plus 21 margin for Washington. What do we say about the NBA? If you can just show us the box score of the 3-point statistics, I can pretty much tell you who won and lost every NBA game 90% of the time. In the NFL, what's that column? The turnover column. -5 in turnovers. I don't care if you're the Detroit Lions. You're not beating the Magic Man, Jaden Daniels, and the Washington Commanders. Congratulations to the Skins. Congratulations to the fan base that for a quarter of a century was held hostage by a horrible human being. We'll get into more of this. Guessing lines right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Start making smarter bets today with a VSiN Pro subscription. Sign up now. Save 25% off an annual subscription with promo code ANG. Dominate football playoffs and beyond with instant access to our daily best bets from top analysts to help you cash in on the conference championships. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circus Sportsbooks to uncover where the smart money's going. 24/7 access to our live video stream and on-demand show replays. And all of our upcoming betting guides, Super Bowl, March Madness, all of them, year-round strategies for every major sport. Don't miss out on this limited-time offer. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe. Use promo code ANG to save 25% off, off a VSiN Pro annual subscription today. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. What was that promo code again?
ANG is an A Numbers Game.
Sorry about that.
I was like, wow, did you forget? You just go right through it. Right?
I hope the voice lasts for 2 hours. Sorry, everybody, for allowing me that segment. I appreciate it.
You had a wild Saturday night.
Let me just say this. By the way, I'm exhausted.
It's so draining.
A football truck has run over me, and I love it.
I was dead asleep, I think, 45 minutes after that game last night. I was exhausted.
Well, because then there's tennis late night. By the way, the tennis pick coming up on the show later, too, for the Australian Open. Let's just go back to this game. Washington-Detroit. Washington, 45 points, most ever for a Washington road postseason game. Detroit, the first in history to lose a playoff game with 300 passing yards and 200 rushing yards. Jaden Daniels, first rookie quarterback in NFL history to have 300 total yards in 2 postseason games. He becomes the 6th ever rookie quarterback to make a championship game. The other 5, Sean King in 1999, Ben Roethlisberger, 2004, Joe Flacco, 2008 with the Ravens, Mark Sanchez, 2009 with the Jettisons, and then Brock Purdy a couple years ago with the Niners. You know what the difference is? These are the defensive ranks for all of those previous 5 rookie conference quarterbacks. In the case of Sean King and the Bucs in 99, 3rd. In the case of Big Ben and the Steelers in 2004, 1st. These are the defensive rankings. In the case of Joe Flacco and the Ravens in 2008, 3rd. The Sanchez and the Jets in 2009, 3rd. And Brock Purdy 2 years ago, 1st. Jaden Daniels and the Washington Taco Holders, 18th.
I mean, that list is usually the perfect example of what we're talking about with the quarterbacks. When you so often bring up, you're in the best situation to win in the NFL if you have a Hall of Fame quarterback or a quarterback on a rookie deal, right? What happens so often with all those teams? They're stacked around these guys.
Yep.
Nobody's been talking about that with Washington this year. Nobody.
Well, I have on the Megapod, Todd has been constantly saying how bad their defense is, and I keep telling him, I'm like, you have their defense all wrong. They are a solid middling defense with really good. We'll get to that momentarily.
So
really good
think about the defenses and weapons around them, though. For Purdy, Roethlisberger, and Flacco on those teams,
it's not even apples and oranges. Apples and mangoes. It's completely different. Washington, by the way, snaps the longest championship game drought in the NFL. It had been 33 years. And believe me, I remember every day of those 33 years since Washington has been in a championship game. Dallas Cowboys, you're now on the clock in the NFC. The only team that now has that has the longest drought now in the NFC.
That's wild. Yeah, what was that? Every team has been there since the Cowboys were last?
That's right. Since the Cowboys have. As Mitch Goldich says, with Washington's win, every single other NFC team has been to the NFC title game more recently than the Dallas Cowboys. By the way, the greatest Jaden Daniels stat of them all. More games with no punts and no turnovers. What have I said all year? It's really tough to beat a football team when they don't punt and they don't turn the ball over. It's kind of simple football math. Jaden Daniels has more games with no punts and no turnovers than Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, and Patrick Mahomes have had in their entire careers combined. Let that marinate. Yeah. Of course, there's another side to this. Dan Campbell, head coach of the Detroit Lions, after the game.
When you lose these games, man, it's like the players, what they put into it. A lot of people don't know, what they go through. You have to get up, bodies beat, mentally stay locked in and do those things. So, long season.
What happened on the 12-man on the field penalty?
It's my fault. It's my fault.
Dan Campbell taking it upon himself, saying it's my fault. Obviously, it's not only his fault. There's no finger pointing. The Lions were great this year. Let me just ask you a couple questions. One,
tough football guy cries?
Yeah, well, that for sure.
No way.
What fan base? Let's take betting out of it for a second. What fan base is more disappointed today, the Lions or the Ravens? It's different reasons, right? And the betting reaction will be like, the Lions were bigger favorites and the Ravens were barely a favorite. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Ravens fan base for always getting to this level and not getting there, or the Lions for having this 15-2 football team where the Lions have never been to a Super Bowl. Yeah. This is the year. This was their year. They were going to do it. 2 home games. This was what it was going to be. And they get beat convincingly at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lions.
Probably so.
And I don't know that it's all that close to me, just because I think there's a sense of, from a fan base perspective of, you'd hate to say this, I think it's even worse, but you kind of get used to it a little bit with Baltimore, right? And this is Detroit. This was your year, kind of, right? Kind of like you're talking about. This was the year. The path seemed to open up.
Let me extend it one further. Yeah. Sorry to break your will. Let me extend it one further. What number could we have gotten, say, let's pick a week 12, for the entire NFC North to not win a single playoff game. And I'm talking about, obviously, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. No one thought the Bears were going to win one. But I'm saying of those three teams, now the mathematical response would be, oh, don't you just parlay the money lines against them from this week? And my response to that is no, because then you probably thought that Green Bay would be a higher seed. Minnesota would probably be a bigger favorite in their game, right? So
just making the playoffs too, those percentages.
But it's just, getting to the point. It's just incredible. The NFC North is gone.
Oh, it's wild.
On a year where they had 3 great teams, or at least 2 great teams, regular season wise, and I would argue 2.5 great ones.
Yeah, me too. I know Dave Ross, Mark Dominic were talking about this before us too, but it's just the NFC North, then the NFC East. If we were sitting here preseason and said 2 teams from the NFC East got to the conference championship game and one of them wasn't the Dallas Cowboys, I have a feeling we'd probably land on these 2, but we'd be shocked by it.
I want to say, I promise after this segment we'll move on to the other games, but I do want to say one thing. I do this show. It's a national show every day. So I resist the urge to do DC sports talk radio every day because obviously, one of the things when I got to VEASAN, I'm like, why is everybody talking about the Mountain West? Don't they know that this is a national station, right? Everybody's talking about local Vegas things. But I would give me 3 minutes on Washington. Give me 2 minutes on this because what has happened here should be the blueprint, should be what every NFL team aspires to be. And I know the very simple thing is, well, yeah, but not every team can draft Jaden Daniels. Hear me out. You and I could have drafted Jaden Daniels, right? In fact, on this show, I was screaming for them, please draft Jaden Daniels. Please draft Jaden Daniels, number 2, right? After we knew the Bears were taking Caleb. Because if you watch college football, you know how good Jaden Daniels is. Now, could anybody have known just how amazing his rookie season was going to be? No, of course not. But what I'm saying is Adam Peters deserves all the credit beyond just picking Jaden Daniels, number 2. The first thing, Kelley, I want to say is, how can you create team chemistry quicker than anything else? My answer would be, get rid of a previous administration's number 1 picks if they're not performing. So just think about that. Emmanuel Forbes, who, remember on this show when Washington drafted him, I made the joke, New England couldn't wait for us to finish the word Forbes before they were like, Christian Gonzalez. The whole rationale was, he makes turnovers at Mississippi State. We need turnovers. Let's draft Emmanuel Forbes. Gone. Jahan Dotson, traded to a division rival. Who knows? Maybe we'll even play him in the NFC Championship. He's an Eagle. Jamin Davis, gone. He's a Jet. Chase Young, gone. He's a Saint. I know Montez Sweat is one of these 2. Montez Sweat is a good ball player, but that was a financial one. But Young, Davis, Dotson, Forbes, goodbye. And then the free agents he picked up, right? Eckler. And Mariota on offense as a backup, but Zacchaeus and Ertz on the offensive line now, like Greddy and Biadasz, McNichols. The defense is filled with free agents nobody else wanted who are starting. Wagner, Fowler, Armstrong, Luvu, Chin. I would argue Frankie Luvu is one of the great free agent pickups in the NFL this year. Nobody wanted these guys. Adam Peters, what he did here with this team is unbelievable. He also drafted well, of course, beyond Daniels with Sandra with Coleman on the offensive line, Luke McCaffrey and Newton contributors as well. The other thing he did that we don't often talk about because we're a numbers show, but he also drafted guys where you have a team now, or not drafted guys, but also picked up as free agents and created a team of character, which is this very nebulous word. But Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler, you just listen to these guys talk. And just what an atmosphere they create in the locker room. Obviously, Terry McLaurin, a holdover from the previous administration. It is such an easy team to like for all of those reasons. Adam Peters, what a job he has done in Washington. We'll get to the other games next. Numbers game right here at VEASAN.
A numbers game on VEASAN, the sports betting network.
Ready to take your tailgate to a whole nother level? You got to try Sewell's Barbecue. Born from a backyard cookout in a mason jar of unforgettable flavor, Sewell's has become a southern favorite, delighting taste buds from Georgia to the Carolinas. From smoky ribs and mouth-watering wings to the perfect backyard burger, Sewell's turns every bite into a flavor-packed experience. Order now at SewellsBarbecueSauce.com. That's SEWELLS Wait for it, Kelley. SAUCE.com.
Way to go!
Flavor this good is just a click away. We get tweets and beating the book, always appreciate it. Hey, Joe Pita has tweeted this morning. Joe Pita, to our mutual VEASAN friends, please respect that the friendship between me and Gill is on a 1-week hiatus. Gill, a rabid, lifelong Washington fan, and me, Below with Coach Buddy Ryan, former Eagles kicker, 1-for-1 on an extra point as a non-roster camp invitee will summit in 1 week. Yes, Joe and I cannot talk. We were texting yesterday, and I was like, hey, we're playing the NFC Championship. He goes, yeah, I'm avoiding the subject. We can't talk about it. This is from In-Game in the Membrane. In-game in the membrane. Congrats, Gill. With the lines being so tight during the NFL Division and Championship rounds, I'm surprised no one on the network at least brings up the option about teasing games all 4 ways. This week, teasing all 4 games all 4 ways would have netted you 6 units. By the way, that is allowed. For those wondering, you are perfectly allowed to do that. To tease the same game 2 ways if you want. Mm-hmm. It's allowed. That usually surprises some people. Johnny Vegas, being a lifelong Browns fan, I know what it's like to be awful most of the time. Once in a while, your team shocks the world. I know how you're feeling today, and it's awesome. I also bet Daniel's Offensive Rookie of the Year at 6-1 preseason. Go Commanders, he says. Kind of crazy. Tuning in on Sirius XM and can't wait to hear this recap of the Taco Holders game. Hope it met your expectations. Ice Cold Gambler. I'm suggesting that if the commodes, by the way, we don't call them that anymore, go to the Super Bowl, Gill needs to tell us his sushi spot so we can all join him and pay his tab that night. Let's go commodes, he says. No more commodes. Brian Schaefer, don't care when anyone says Barkley is the NFL MVP this year. And to be honest, Jaden Daniels not that far behind. Barkley would have beaten the record with about 40 fewer carries than Dickerson. Take Barkley off the team and the Eagles are the Niners MVP. Take Barkley off the team and the Eagles are the Niners MVP?
Sure.
What do you mean the Niners MVP? I don't get that last part. Jamie Buckholt. Those that had Gill being insufferable at even money on a numbers game this morning, cash. Happy for you, Gill. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Frankie Vegas. Frank from Buffalo, walkover t-shirts. Happy for you on your Washington win. Love to see a rematch of 1992 Super Bowl. I was there too. I'm rooting for the Commanders next week. Hope you'll root for my Bills. Let's make it happen. Enjoy listening every day. Thank you, Frankie. And Shooter McGamblin, Gill, should Barkley have went down instead of scoring on that long run? I was watching the game with Rams backers, and I thought in the moment that it was a good thing for them that he scored. There was about 4:40 left. What do you think the optimal play was? I did not have a problem with him scoring at that time. I really did not.
I didn't even think about it.
I did not have it. And finally, New York Mess 16. Gill, this is why a numbers game is the best. Recapping your beloved Skins, you are still down the middle, acknowledging Lou Vu's illegal hit and agreeing with Kevin Burkhardt that after the Phantom face mask, it's kind of even now. Great job as always. About those Eagles, because Washington's reward is, get to play the Eagles for a 3rd time and head to Philly. Oh, boy. Eagles take down the Los Angeles Rams, who for me, again, were the sneaky, freaky brothers sneaking in from the rear. I thought the Rams were the team that scared me. By the way, I just want to say the whole broadcast began with them saying, the winner plays Washington. To which I'm at home going, what world is this I'm living in? The winner does play Washington, don't they? Philly, 6 plays, 74 yards, and 305 to start it out. Hurts in from 44. And you're like, oh, here we go. Eagles route is on. Elliott misses the extra point wide left. They have an extra point problem. They have a shaky kicking situation. 6-0 Philly. Then the Rams, first 3rd down. Higbee clearly makes a catch for a first. The officials rule it incomplete. Higbee oddly doesn't argue much, if at all. It's overturned. What a colossal waste of time that was. Leads to a 4th and inches at the Philadelphia 10. Kyron for 4. 3 plays later, 3rd and goal to 4. To Higbee, touchdown, 7-6 Rams. 6:32 left in the first quarter. A little later on, Philly with the ball. 2 drives later. 3 plays, 83 yards, 134. Saquon in from 62. 107 left in the first quarter, and the snow begins, Kelley. 13-7, Eagles. The snow begins. Snow coming down harder now, a little later in the game here. It's 13-10. Philly starts with 5:18 left in the second quarter, up 3. They get out of a 3rd and 14 jail from their own 5 with a pass to Saquon for 16. But driving for a first half cover, up 3, it's about 4 points is the first half line. 2nd and 1 at the Rams 37. Hurts goes deep to Brown. In his lap, he bobbles it, only corrals it out of bounds, incomplete. And then after Philly does get the first down, 2nd and 8 at the Rams 32 with 30 seconds left in the half. Hurts sacked by Omar Spates, fumbles recovered by Gainwell, but back at the Rams 47. That play ends with 21 seconds left in the second quarter. Philly has 1 timeout, and Sirianni doesn't use it. Mike Tirico, quote, Sirianni just says, hold right here. Don't know if he's going to take a timeout for one last shot at the end zone or let it run down. Unquote. No one really understood what Sirianni was doing there. He doesn't call it till 3 seconds are left, and then Verse sacks Hurts to end it anyway. So Eagles up 3 at the half.
I mean, I think he just didn't want anything else bad to happen happened on that previous play.
The clock was moving. He was indecisive. He didn't know what the proper thing was to do, and he opted for the caution.
I think he knows he got kind of lucky with Gainwell even recovering ball.
Yeah, he sure did. A few drives into the second half. It's 13-10. Rams, 3rd and 4, their own 32 to Kupp for 30, then Kyren for 30, but fumble on the exchange to Kyren next play. Rams have to settle for a Carty 34-yard field goal. We are tied at 13 halfway through the third quarter. Philly then settles for an Elliott 44-yard field goal after Hurts was sacked by Jalen McCullough on second down, and his knee was wrenched. 16-13 Philly, and now the worry is for Jalen Hurts. Philly, next time they get the ball backed up at their own 4 after a 4-yard gain by Saquon. Hurts sacked for a safety by Neville Gallimore and Thomas. 16-15 Eagles. Closing seconds of the third quarter, Hurts looks somewhat impaired. Now the Rams, snow everywhere now. Ball slick. End fourth quarter. Rams matriculating. First play, fourth quarter. Kyren hit by Jalen Carter. Fumbles. This was the play of the game. Isaiah Rodgers recovers, returns at 40 yards. Philly set up at the 10. Saquon for 8. Saquon for no gain. Then Saquon to the doorstep. Inches short. 4th and goal. False start on Lane Johnson. They have to settle for an Elliott 23-yard field goal, 19-15, with 13:23 left. Then the Rams, field completely white now. Yard markers invisible without enhancement. 3rd and 10 at their own 45. Stafford hit by Nolan Smith Jr. He fumbles. Zach Bond recovers. Philly, after a 4th down conversion to Brown, they settle for a 37-yard field goal try from Elliott. Great hold by Braden Mann, and it goes through 22-15. Eagles up 7 now with 6:18 left. Then the Rams, after a 3 and out, they still have all 3 timeouts left. They punt it. Philly takes over with 4:47 left in the fourth quarter. They're up 7. Own 22. First play, Saquon Barkley for 78 yards. This is the play that the tweet was about. Should he have scored? I say so. Sure. 28-15 because you know what you don't know what's going to happen next? Elliott missing the extra point wide left. So it's a 13-point game with 4:36 left. And then the Eagles, I mean, they probably want to have this drive back. They just stopped blitzing entirely. And so the Rams, and Stafford is like, I'll take that. 10 plays, 70 yards, only took 148. Stafford to Colby Parkinson, 4 out. All of a sudden, it's 28-22. We are on the number that existed for most of the week. By the way, it closed at 7 in this game.
How crazy was that?
Yeah, 2:48 left in the fourth quarter. Rams have all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Philly on second down. Hurts is sacked by Kobe Turner on a bootleg for a 12-yard loss, and it's a 3 and out. And the Rams, who used all 3 timeouts now, though, they get the ball back with no timeouts left, but they still have the 2-minute warning. They're set up at their own 18 with 2:23 left, down 6 after Xavier Smith let it bounce. The punt, that is. Which, by the way, they were kind of killing him for that. I had no problem with him doing that. He's a rookie. He's like, I don't want to do anything wrong. Let me just let it bounce. So
in tough conditions.
I think they were killing him on the broadcast. Tirico and Collinsworth. To Higbee for 5. To Kupp for 8. 2-minute warning. Then DeJean almost picks it. Incomplete intended for Nakua, broken up by Slay. 3rd down to Robinson for 11. Then to Nakua for 37 to the Philly 21. What a catch. That kid is awesome. You know what he should be, Kelley? Last year's Rookie of the Year. Can we still cash those? Oh, that's right, we can't.
So many massive plays on this drive. That Slay breakup was huge. Oh, man.
Then to Kupp for 3 with 1:19 to go. Keep in mind, they get the touchdown, the extra point. They win this. Then a false start to Nakua for 7. It's 3rd and 2 at the 14, but Stafford is sacked by Jalen Carter. I mean, this really is the biggest play of the game because that makes it 4th and 11 at the 22. Stafford throws it way wide, incomplete, a non-competitive play. No flag on Slay, none on Carter when he hits Stafford. McVay is angry. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Ball game. Eagles win it 28-22. Saquon 26 for 205 and 2 touchdowns. And the Rams outgained the Eagles like the Lions outgained Washington, 402 to 350 in this case. But they were -2 in turnovers, resulting in +6. Remember, the Eagles got 2 field goals out of that. Oh, by the way, that's the margin of victory, 28-22.
Jalen Carter was so big down the stretch. I didn't even hear Josh Sweat say this, but this quote I grabbed was so great. Just like what's going on in the players' minds during the game, right? Where Carter seems like he's having a good game, but then at the end is massive, right? It's only, quote, it was only a matter of time before he was going to kill that right guard. No disrespect to the right guard.
Talking about Jalen Carter, who is awesome, by the way, of course.
Oh, man.
I guessed Eagles minus 4.5 because we could go back to the Eagles home game against Washington earlier this year, week 11, and that was 4.5. And it is.
Yeah, we're 5.5 everywhere right now. I know there were some 4.5s that opened up at, so right in that kind of dead man land.
Oh, we got a full week to talk about this game. The rubber match between the Eagles and the Skins. AFC next on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, now live on 24/7. Of course, now live 24/7 on SiriusXM channel 158. Hope you're listening to us on SiriusXM this morning. If you're not, taking us in any which way, we appreciate it. But for those new to us on SiriusXM channel 158, welcome aboard. Whether you're at home, on the road, or on the go, now there's more ways than ever to tune into VSiN. Stream us live on VSiN.com, the VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, and now SiriusXM channel 158. Happy to be back. We were on Sirius years ago.
Look at that graphic, Gill. It's really filling up, man.
Man.
It's a lot of places.
I mean, if you can't find us now, he says confidently after we're on SiriusXM. Because I can now tell my older friends, like, hey, how do I get you, Gill? I'm like, okay, so you see there's YouTube too. SiriusXM channel 158, they all understand.
I was waiting for you to finish that sentence. It's on you now if you can't find us, I guess.
That's right. Now it's on you.
I guarantee you my mom's still struggling. She's still wondering when that old app's coming back.
It's that old. VSiN Watch app is great. She should be able to figure it out.
I've told her it 3 times.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. Charlie D, USA #1. The game was never in doubt when Joe Gibbs made an appearance. I thought the same thing. The greatest coach of all time showing up in Detroit. Kevin Ryan, during the commercial, Gill, prior to the Barkley 78-yard run, I texted my buddy and said, the only way I lose my under is if Barkley rips off a long run. What are the odds? What are the odds? Oh, pretty good, actually, with that guy. James Sott, that first segment didn't disappoint. Bask in this. Stringfellow Hawk, our buddy. Daniel Snyder been gone 15 minutes. Took the Washington money line on Drew's Megapod recommendation. The 12 men on the field penalty was the death knell. Coaching failure. Yeah, shout out to Drew. Shout out to Rufus Peabody, who came on, the greatest better of his generation on this past Friday. Shout out to Steve Fezzik, the only back-to-back winner of the Hilton Super Contest, who comes on every Friday with us. Everybody gave that recommendation because of the high volatility nature of a game between two teams that go for it as often as Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn do for the Lions and Skins on fourth downs. You should take Washington on the money line just as a matter of principle. That money line price was boosted, and not boosted by the way that sportsbooks now use that word, but it was enhanced, and you owed it to yourself to take it, and I hope you did. I did. I didn't take them on against the number, but I took them there based on that recommendation. Joe C714, we were close to hosting. He's a Rams fan. Says we were close to hosting your Commodores, Gill. Just pisses me off how often Kyron fumbles. I believe this time it cost us the game. He also fumbled against the Eagles earlier this year, and the game changed after that. C. Spackler, there are no synonyms for matriculate when used by the voice. You cannot mess with the voice and its grammatical correctness. I believe I'm the voice in this case. And then primetime, Cowboys _Cubs 1. Yo, dog. America's team has won 3 Super Bowls since the DC Skins last appeared in one. America and myself expect more from our team, yes, but everyone need to slow their roll. We are pacing ourselves. We are pacing ourselves. Yeah, you were in those Super Bowls like a minute after the Skins were, so let's relax. Jason Stark, who's a Steelers fan, he says, how come no one's calling for Harbaugh's job in Baltimore? He never wins, and he has a top 3 quarterback. Put Lamar on the Steelers, and Tomlin has another ring. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Mark Geiger, in-house.
Lamar just dropped another one on the snow.
Mark Geiger, in-house attorney for a numbers game. I have ordered pom-poms and a cute outfit for you. Maybe I'll bring it over to Circa. But seriously, you guys have a real shot at the Lombardi Trophy, and I'm in at 7-1. And then Jeff Levine. Gill could not agree more about how much team character means. So as a Ravens fanatic, I'm very worried that Mark Andrews' mishaps has turned way too many fans into Raven maniacs on a player who has exemplified character during his marvelous career. We got more tweets to get to, but we got another game to get to. What's next? Let's go to Sunday.
Yeah, AFC Championship, both on Sunday.
Sunday afternoon, I mean, of course.
That is correct. We are now at 6:30 Eastern Time. Bills at Chiefs. The big one.
Bills at Chiefs. Start with the Bills win over Baltimore, since we were just talking about that. The marquee matchup of the weekend in the NFL. It did not disappoint. Baltimore comes out, 8 plays, 73 yards, 420. 3rd and 8 at their own 29. Lamar for 9. Then Henry wide open, drops a low pass from Lamar. No matter, though, to Likely for 39. 3 plays later, 3rd and 3 at the Buffalo 16. Lamar to Bateman. Touchdown. That's how Baltimore scored first. 10:40 left in the first quarter. They're up 7. Allen misses Hollins on the first play on the ensuing drive, but 3rd and 8 at their own 32. Allen to Khalil Shakir for 34. 4 plays later, 4th and 2 at the Baltimore 26. Allen for 7. 4 plays after that, Ray Davis in from 1. We are tied at 7 on an 11-play, 70-yard drive that took 5:57. Only 2 passes. This would be a portent of things to come from the Bills all day. So 7-7, 4:43 left in the first quarter. Baltimore, 2nd and 11 at their own 27. Milano with pressure. Lamar throws it deep over Bateman's head. Picked by Taylor Rapp. Lamar had only thrown 4 picks all year. Here's 1 to Taylor Rapp. But Buffalo couldn't do anything with it, and here's why. A phantom hold on Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins gets called for a phantom hold, sets Buffalo back. They have to punt.
Was that the one where it was like he was blocking too well?
Yes.
He was blocked too well, holding.
Deion Dawkins is telling the ref, he's like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. Baltimore, 2nd and 10 at the Buffalo 28. Lamar sacked by Hamlin. Fumbles. This is the play of the game. Fumbles. It wasn't like Hamlin knocked it out of his hands. Lamar spun, and with a slick football, he loses it. Recovered by Vaughn Miller, who returns at 39 yards. Buffalo set up at the Baltimore 24. 4 plays in, Allen in from 1. 14-7 Buffalo. That's the game changer. That Lamar fumble. 8:52 left in the second quarter. A little later on, it would be 14-10. And then Buffalo with a double dip opportunity. 9 plays, 70 yards. Took him 3:27. Allen in from 4. 21-10 Buffalo at the half, and they get the ball first in the second. It's the largest halftime deficit for the Ravens this year. Oh, boy. But then Buffalo goes 3 and out. Tucker field goal cuts it to 21-13. Next time Baltimore has the ball after they force a punt. 7 plays, 80 yards. Henry for 6, 3 and 17. Then Lamar to Andrews for 12. Hill for 22. Henry for 15. For 5 into the end zone from Henry. Touchdown. They're down 2. 2-point try. Lamar to Likely, tipped by Milano, fails. 21-19, Buffalo clinging with 1:37 left in the third. Then Buffalo, with Romo saying he wouldn't go down without Allen getting most of the touches, maybe 47 times on this drive. You see how many times Romo said that? Bass, 51-yard field goal. What a kick. 24-19 Bills with 12:04 left. Then Baltimore has the ball. Romo reminds us that, quote, big people can push around the little people.
He had some moments at the end of this one.
Thanks, Tony. Big people can push around the little people, Jim. 4th and inches, own 39. Andrews for 2. 2 plays later, Lamar to Andrews for 14, but he tries to make a move, and it's punched out by Terrell Bernard, recovered by Bernard. Buffalo up 5, get it to 1st and goal at the 10. Baltimore decides to use their first 2 timeouts early, with just under 5 minutes left, which I kind of think is the right move, and I'll tell you why. I know a lot of people were curious about this. When you're inside the 10, it's okay to use them with about 4+ minutes left because there is no chance of you getting another set of downs.
Right.
So
that continuing to
that's
happen,
right. So that's a correct play at that point, I believe. Anyway, Buffalo, they have to, it's 4th and goal at the 2. Buffalo calls timeout to think about it. They're like, let's kick the field goal. And they do. Romo, by the way, this is the other thing that announcers drive me crazy on. So they're deciding, Buffalo is, should we kick the field goal? Should we go for it? We're up 5. My biggest pet peeve with announcers, I have many, but one of them is they have the benefit of seeing live what the sideline's going to do like 1.5 seconds before we do on the broadcast. So, and Romo does this every time. He goes, Jim, I think I'd kick the field goal right as they're already coming on the field. And so they do kick the field goal. It kills me.
Or they can just look, as they're talking, they can look at who's huddling up next to the coach, where we can't see that at all.
But he doesn't commit till he sees them bring out the kick unit. 27-19. Buffalo's up 8, 3:29 left. So Baltimore's got 1 timeout in the 2-minute warning, down 8. After a hold on the kickoff, they start at their own 12 with 3:23 left. 2nd and 7 at their own 26. Lamar flushed out right to Tylan Wallace for 27. What a play by Lamar. 2-minute warning at the Buffalo 47. Remember, they need the touchdown in the 2. Snow now falling as if on cue. To Likely for 24. Touchdown. What a play. They're down 2. Another 2-point try. To Andrews in the corner. Surely he'll catch this. Dropped. 27-25 Buffalo, 1:33 left. Baltimore now reduced to declaring for an onside kick. So they go to the official, and you know what they say, Kelley? They go, I do declare that I want to kick the onside kick. It does not work. It fails. Buffalo wins. They're headed to the AFC Championship 27-25. Baltimore outgains Buffalo. Theme of the weekend, 416 to 273, where the team that loses outgains the winning team. But what's the other theme? -3 in turnovers, resulting in plus 10 points for the Buffalo Billiards. And that's all you need to know. By the way, the 2-point conversion to Andrews, and people are killing Andrews. Did you notice how Lamar held the ball up like it was big brother about to throw it to little brother, or father about to throw it to their son? He's like, okay, here comes. Dropped. A lot of old heads who have been around a long time think of Jackie Smith of the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl 13 against the Steelers as a comp for this. Wasn't quite as egregious, but that did pop into my head as well.
I got no problem with the play call. It was there. It was there to be completed and scored. It was dropped.
I probably would have gone Henry. I was saying before the play, let's go Henry. But it was there.
It was there.
A drop is a drop. Congratulations to Bills fans, Bills backers. You get the money.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
VSiN fans, you're in luck. Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens is offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties: Circa Las Vegas, the D Hotel, and Golden Gate. Whether you're lounging by Circa's stunning rooftop pool or enjoying all the excitement Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with promo code VSiN15. Book your 2025 stay now at circalasvegas.com and use VSiN15 to get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts here. You ever stayed at, you ever done a staycation here at Circa, by the way?
You know what? I never have.
I never have either. I want to. And you know what everybody always says the biggest thing about those rooms are? Great pressure on the shower.
I didn't know if you were going there, but
Yes.
I was like, I know I've heard that a couple times.
I mean,
which is huge.
It's amazing.
How often do you stay in a hotel or Airbnb or whatever, and you're like, this water pressure sucks?
And someone comes back to you and goes, the water pressure in the showers is fantastic. Got to stay at Circa. By the way, I've also stayed at the Golden Gate before. Crack put me up at a suite there once. It was amazing.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, back in the day.
I haven't stayed at any of the properties, it's just weird. I don't really have any explanation for that, any reason why.
We've not stayed at the D either, but we've certainly gone to the D many times.
We've spent a lot of time at the D.
We're big D guys. All right, one more game to get to. The Bills will play
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs beat the Texans. And when I say beat the Texans, I mean it was the Chiefs and maybe some help. Let's get into it, shall we? Chiefs begin. Nico Remigio returns the kickoff 63 yards, the opening kickoff. He's hit by Chris Boyd. He fumbles, but recovered by Samaje Perine. Boyd flagged for taking off his helmet, unnecessary roughness. Then he shoves his special teams coach, Frank Ross. Good start for Houston, huh?
That was one of those, by the way. I don't know where you were. I always like these moments where you're like, all right, game's starting. I'm like, let me just wrap up something in the kitchen. I'm like cooking something in a pan. And I'm like, hear the broadcast going crazy. You're trying to do the whole run back from the kitchen back and forth. Like, what's going on?
Wait a minute. You were cooking something in a pan?
Yeah, in a fried pan. I had to go.
Really?
I was cooking up some fajitas. Yeah.
I'm impressed. Kansas City set up at the Houston 13, but they have to settle for a Butker 32-yard field goal after a 3-and-out, 3-0 Chiefs, a minute and 2 seconds in. Then after a Fairbairn field goal ties it up at 3 apiece. By the way, they had to do it because they tie up at 3 apiece, but on that third down play, Stroud hurt his left knee. Mm-hmm. So we were always sort of worried about Stroud's health through the rest of that game. So 3-3, Casey would be 3-and-out, but a horrific. It would have been a 3-and-out, but a horrific roughing the passer call on Will Anderson extends the drive. And another red zone stop eventually leads to a Butker 36-yard field goal, 6-3 Kansas City. But back to that play, the horrific roughing the passer. We also learned from the official help in the booth there, Russell Yerk, that they're now allowed to do expedited review and pick those flags up if no contact occurs. So in other words, if Will Anderson had completely whiffed on Mahomes and they threw the flag, replay assist, we learned, could come in and reverse that. Pick the flag up. But because if there's any contact, right? So he gets flagged, he should not have been flagged. But if there's any contact with Mahomes, replay assist is not allowed to pick up the flag. So Kelley, the difference, it's ridiculous. Everything about this is ridiculous.
I was more upset with everything that was talked about in the booth than the actual hit in the call.
Me too.
Because the whole, they've been doing this all season, Gill.
Oh.
Wait, what? Because I don't remember having seen a single play this year where a roughing the passer penalty was called and then expedited review came in and helped them pick up the flag off the field. What are we talking about?
And again, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid do not need the extra help from the officials. Houston gets the ball a couple drives later. 6-3. They're down now. After a big 3rd and 9, 28-yard run by Stroud. Stroud is sacked by Charles Omenihu. They decide on a Fairbairn 55-yard field goal try, which, by the way, was the worst of the three options here.
Yeah.
You could have punted. You could have gone for it. Don't try the 55-yarder in the cold. Way low and right. Kansas City, because this is what they do. 5 plays, 55 yards, 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Mahomes goes deep to Hollywood Brown. He has the ball knocked out by Murray. No catch, but the next play, no problem. Mahomes to Kelley for 49 to the Houston 6. By the way, Kelley, not very fast. Just put that out there.
News, yeah.
3 plays later, Hunt in from 1. 13-3 Chiefs with 4:26. It would be 13-6 at the half. Third quarter. Houston comes out. 15 plays, 82 yards. 10 minutes and 24 seconds. 2nd and 14, by the way, on this drive at the Kansas City 28. Stroud to Hutchinson for 14, but officials marked him short. The Texans don't challenge it. Then they get an illegal motion, and I'm like, I can't believe what's happening here. 3rd and 6, Stroud for exactly 6. Next play, then mix it in from 13. So it's 13-12 on that 15-play, 82-yard drive that took more than 10 minutes. And then Fairbairn wide right on the extra point. And Kansas City still leads 13-12 with 4:36 left in the third quarter. And then, of course, Mahomes and Kansas City, 13 plays, 81 yards, 7 minutes, 44 seconds. The first 2 drives of the second half, I mean, it was just unbelievable how long each of those was. 1st and 10 at their own 35 on that drive, by the way. Mahomes toying with defenders, then a late slide, then an unnecessary roughness when 2 Houston defenders smack into each other. 15 yards. And then 3 plays later, 3rd and 4th, the Houston 40. Mahomes to Gray at the sticks. Initially, they give him a first down. He wasn't close. They correctly move the ball back for 4th and inches at the Houston 36 to start the fourth quarter. Then Hunt for 3, 5 plays later, falling down. Mahomes to Kelley. What a play. Falling down. Mahomes to Kelley from 11, 20-12 Kansas City. But you had the unnecessary roughness when the 2 defenders smacked into each other, when Mahomes is toying with the defenders, he does the late slide. Then you had the one where they gave Gray the first down. They're like, oh, yeah, maybe he didn't get it. I forgot. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. They couldn't possibly not get a first down, right? Anyway, it's 20-12. Houston, 4th and 10 at the Kansas City 40. They decide late to go for it. For a 5th straight play, Kansas City blitzes. Stroud is sacked all the way back to the Houston 44 by Karlaftis. Then a couple drives later, Kansas City, they're still up 8, set up at the Houston 45, 4th and 1. They get it to 4th and 1 at the Houston 9. They decide correctly, let's just kick the field goal here and go up 2 scores. Butker hits the chip shot, 27-yarder. So it's 23-12 Chiefs with 4:38 left. Houston starts with another Karlaftis sack, the 5th KC sack of the game. They get it to 2nd and 2 at the Kansas City 5. They matriculate. 2nd and 2 at the Kansas City 5. Snap it in haste before the 2-minute warning. Stroud is sacked by Felix Anudike Uzoma. Then by Karlaftis, his 3rd, KC's 8th. Houston calls timeout. They go to a field goal because they're down 11, right? They're down 2 scores. And the spread is in doubt here. Fairbairn, 35-yard field goal blocked by Leo Chenal. Oh, my God, Kansas City is going to cover 2. Except for Kansas City as a 3-and-out, and on 4th and 15 at their 18. And this seems somewhat unnecessary. Like, I was like, okay, I get the idea, but did he really have to take a safety here?
Yeah.
4th and 15 at their own 18 in the closing seconds. Matt Ariza is asked to run it back and take the safety, and he does. Houston wins it 23-14. Andy Reid's way of saying, hey, you probably should have bet us at the lower number. The 9.5s do not cash for the Chiefs. 23-14. Chiefs win and they advance. Mahomes in Kansas City. And this is just, I mean, we could talk about all the other stats that are amazing for all these other teams and Jaden Daniels and this and that. But the Kansas City Chiefs going to their 7th straight AFC championship is on a planet of its own. It's just unbelievable to think about that. 7 AFC championships in a row. By the way, we have a tweet about this. Houston, for the Texans, teams had been 49-0 when outgaining their opponent by over 100 yards in a playoff game and not committing a turnover in a playoff game, per ESPN stats and info from Benjamin Solak. Texans first team to outgain their opponent by 100 plus, 336-212, not turn the ball over and lose a postseason game. Previous teams were 49-0 in the playoffs. About the officiating, can we run that other tweet? Because I think this is great. This is a tweet. Do we have that one about the officiating, guys? I'll read it otherwise. This is
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
Or not
Kenny Rogers. The not Kenny Rogers tweet who says, the Buffalo Bills were just called for roughing the passer next week against Kansas City, which I think echoes a lot of people's feelings about the officiating in this Texans game. This is D'Amico Ryans. Do we have D'Amico Ryans on this?
We have D'Amico. I've got comments about the officiating.
Here's D'Amico Ryans after the game.
All right, well,
we knew going into this game, man, it was us versus everybody. Right? When I say everybody, it's everybody, all the whatever. Everybody, the naysayers, the doubt, right? Everybody.
Yeah, D'Amico did not want to say officials. They didn't want to say that word, did not want to come out of his mouth, but you know what he meant.
I think that's excellently handled because you've already lost. Why get fined too? It ain't going to change that, and you got your message across. Here's my comment on the officiating, Gill, is that it wouldn't have stood out so much and it wouldn't have been so bad, in my opinion, if every other game the refs didn't seemingly just throw the flags away. Like there was Baltimore, Buffalo, how much stuff went uncalled that felt like it could have gone called throughout the entirety of the game. They just let them play.
Which is what they should do.
In Kansas City, Houston, it was more of that. It's we could sit here and argue back and forth about every single one of the calls.
But there was no game, you're right, to your point. There was no game this weekend where you felt like the officials really mattered.
Right, except for this
game. And you do walk away thinking, I'm sorry, you kind of do. The Chiefs are great, but this other thing is true too. Both things can be true at the same time. No, I never gave a guess for the AFC Championship, but we kind of already knew it from the look-aheads, but I said to Kansas City -1.5, and that's kind of where
You're
it is.
Dead on.
Yeah.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. BetterHelp recently surveyed over 16,000 people and found that while 75% of people believe it's wise to seek support, only 27% of Americans are in therapy, and people stay silent to avoid being judged. BetterHelp has over 10 years of experience matching you with the right therapist, because we're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com/StopTheStigma for their first ever State of Stigma report, the latest in mental health research.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.